Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Saturdays on Lonas Lane. We're so glad you could join us. I'm Taylor, and right here I've got Tyler. Cody is with his family at the movies, and so we're going to go ahead and shoot this without him and get a quick reaction on the college football selection committee, which I have my disagreements on, and we'll just see, right? There a lot of has unchanged this week in the top 12. I know that Oregon leapfrogged Ole Miss, which I disagree with. I mean, both teams won. I understand that Oregon played a USC team that
was ranked in the top 25.
That was ranked, but I just don't like the fact that they missed the overall picture. They missed the overall picture. We can argue about Notre Dame still being ahead of Alabama. Not looking at the overall picture, you have big wins for Alabama being Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee,
LSU at the time.
So I mean, you've got big games here. Who is Notre Dame beat? But that's my question. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of unclear expectations that they throw out, that they try to give you, and it's just not consistent. And when you're looking at doing a selection committee, there should be consistency. Over it all, and there is just not that consistency. So let's look, because right now, if you look at what ESPN is putting out, they have Tulane as the group of 5 to be going in, but Tulane is not favored in what you can find out there. James Madison, who is in the Sun Belt Conference, is favored to get in. They've got a 12-1 record. If they win the conference champion, they'll have a 12-1 record, and so they should be one of the top contenders for that G5 spot. But you have Tulane, who is sitting there, they're currently ranked in the top 25, so that's what may get them in the highest ranked G5 group.
Yeah, because if you look at it, and while we've talked about it all week, while they continue to say Miami's going to be in, it's because they are the top ranked ACC team in the playoff committee's eyes right now. They're the highest. With Georgia Tech getting beat this past weekend, it kind of pushes Georgia Tech out of that talk, and it still pushes.
With this, which is crazy, with the same record as Miami.
But I mean, you can't really say worser losses, because it's not a word.
They got drilled Saturday.
But they got bit by Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken, this past weekend, and it wasn't even close. And then you had Miami getting beat by Louisville by 3. And then getting beat by SMU, which is now, SMU is currently ranked at number 21. So, yes, at the time, SMU wasn't ranked.
But SMU still only has 1 conference loss.
Yes.
They lose to Pitt, and if you look at this Pitt team...
Pitt's ranked again.
They're 6-1 in the ACC.
Yeah,
looking, like they could possibly have, be right up there in the conference championship game. You have Pitt, you have Virginia, and then you have SMU, who are all 6-1. Virginia, this is crazy. Virginia, because if we want to talk about head-to-head, well, who beat Miami? Virginia. They are 9-2. And so if you want to moan and groan about wins and losses, Notre Dame, yes, got beat by Miami. But guess who beat Miami?
Virginia.
There's no consistency. That's what I'm saying. And so Virginia is sitting here ranked at number 18. 18. And they're the favorites to win the ACC conference.
And we continue to say this. The playoff committee continues to get it wrong by the rules that they have come up with themselves. But they have to put as the projected Tulane in, because they're the highest ranked in the college playoffs. They have to put Miami in because they have to fill those slots. They can't put, a Virginia Tech in, Virginia in, or a James Madison who's not even ranked. Right now, they're projecting Tulane and Miami due to the fact that they're the highest ranking in the polls, in the college football polls. So, with that being said, that's all going to change come 2 weeks from now, or 3 weeks from now, whenever they decide to do this. I believe it's 2 weeks because you have this weekend, so the 2 weeks. Yeah, so technically 3 weeks from now, they'll have the final projections, which will be the SEC, Big Ten, and then the other conferences out there. Sorry, guys. Distractions. Squirrel moments here. So, that's all going to change. Number 11, number 12 are not going to be who they're projecting at this moment. Would I like to see Miami in the top 12 playing in the college football playoffs because they've had a great season, 2 fluke games? Absolutely. Georgia Tech, would I like to see Georgia Tech in there? Absolutely. They played heck of ball games this year. Anybody in the top 25 really deserves to be in it because they have played so well within 20 and below, really.
So,
SMU, Tulane's played good. USC's played decent ball at 8-3. Virginia's 9-2, projected to win the ACC. You got Vanderbilt, who's 9-2, whose losses are to Alabama and to Texas, who is currently sitting at what's Texas currently sitting at? Sorry, guys.
Texas right now in the college football rankings
16.
is 16, and in the AP poll, they're 16. Here, let's do this. No matter what happens this week, Ohio State's in, Indiana's in. Even if either one of those teams loses the last 2 games, if Ohio State loses to Michigan,
they'll play Indiana.
Michigan is sitting right there at
number
15. But if Ohio State loses to Michigan and then loses to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game,
yeah.
Well, they may not go because Michigan is only got 1 loss in the Big Ten. The other loss for them is Oklahoma, who is sitting at number 8.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. That'd be an interesting shot. But even if they lost and didn't go to the Big Ten championship, they're still in.
They're still in.
Indiana, I believe, is still in. Texas A&M, they could lose to Texas, be kicked out of the SEC championship game, and they're still in.
Yes.
But that would put Georgia in. I don't see Georgia having a problem with Georgia Tech this weekend. Not after the way I saw them play Pitt. But it's a rivalry game. Anything can happen. But Georgia can beat Georgia Tech or lose to Georgia Tech and still go to the SEC championship game with a loss to A&M, which would be interesting. If they lost to Georgia Tech and then go to the SEC championship game and lose, they'd be a 3-loss team.
But the committee has said if I don't know really. A lot of people are saying the committee said this, the committee said that. If Georgia is to lose against Georgia Tech, but goes to the SEC championship and gets beat by either Alabama if they beat Auburn or Ole Miss if Ole Miss beats Mississippi State and A&M loses to Texas. Right now, the SEC is all crazy. The Big Ten's all crazy. The SEC or the ACC is probably the only conference that has hey, these two are like the only two in with Virginia and who was the other one?
Well, you have Virginia right now, and you have SMU, and you have who else was up there? It'd be Pittsburgh, SMU, and Virginia.
So
who are sitting at 18, 21, and 22, and somehow Miami with the same record,
but 2 losses in the ACC.
Is up
so that's the
to 12.
thing. That's the problem is that the ACC's got 2 to 3 guaranteed potential to go to the ACC. SEC, A&M gets beat by Texas. If Georgia, so that makes Georgia in. Alabama gets beat by Auburn, and that puts Ole Miss in. So that's 4 teams right there potentially that swings in one Saturday, technically Friday and Saturday, because 3 of those teams that have the potential to go to the SEC play on Friday night with Ole Miss, Mississippi State, A&M, and Texas, and Georgia Tech. And then Alabama plays Saturday against Auburn at 7:30.
Here's my take on all of this. I don't believe that a conference championship game should hurt you, only help you.
Yes.
And I say that saying this. If Alabama beats Auburn, goes to the SEC championship game, and loses, that's their 3rd loss, right? BYU and Texas Tech have to play. If BYU beats Texas Tech, or if BYU beats Texas Tech, that shouldn't drop Texas Tech all the way out, but puts BYU in. Do you drop an Alabama or Notre Dame who doesn't play in a conference championship game? So do you punish the team that plays an extra game, or do you punish the person who has 2 losses to start the season, and those are the best 2 games that they have? You lose to what is now number 12 Miami and number 3 Texas A&M, but you lose that game at home.
It's hard to say
without a signature win on your schedule.
Well, you don't say not a signature win. They beat USC and they beat Pitt, so they got 2 top 25 wins, and they're both currently in the top 25.
Which USC doesn't either have a signature win.
Yes, I mean USC doesn't have a signature win, so there's no there. The top 12 is going to be tough for the committee after championship Saturday, with all these games, and then you did have Navy potentially going in as a group of 5, and they have an extra game to play with Army. So while everybody else has that weekend off, Army-Navy plays on the 13th of December.
Yeah. So the first 2 teams out right now would be BYU and Miami.
Yes.
They still have Miami in as the ACC leader, but they can't play in their conference championship game. Like I said, if Alabama is able to beat Texas A&M or beat Georgia in the SEC championship game, I don't think it drops either one of those out. BYU beats Texas Tech in their conference championship game. I mean, you're looking at having to drop out
3 teams.
A Notre Dame, because you're not going to leave Alabama out, and you're not going to leave BYU out. They're both going to be in, and then you've got to have the ACC champion in there as well. There is a lot that could happen in these next 2 weeks with rivalry weekend, with the conference championships. A lot could happen. A lot could break loose right here. But you look on the outside looking in. Right now, you do have BYU, who would be the first team out because they'd have to give way to the ACC, and then Miami. I'd have to see how they're going to fit them in. I know they want Miami in so bad they can't stand it. Miami should be in over Notre Dame.
I believe so too, because I mean they got the head-to-head. Notre Dame ain't played in a conference championship game, win or lose.
But then if you're looking at head-to-head, Virginia should be in over Miami.
Yeah.
Virginia should be in over Miami.
Like I said, right now as it sits, 1 through 7 is pretty much a guaranteed in.
That 9, 10, 11, 12 spot is
four.
a scary spot to be in.
Yeah, Georgia's sitting pretty, A&M sitting pretty, Indiana, Ohio State, Oregon's sitting pretty, and even Ole Miss is sitting pretty good right there. Depending on how they play Mississippi State.
I may say 8, but I don't know if I'd put 8 in there. I think 8 is in. So if Oklahoma, all they have to do is beat LSU. Ole Miss, I think, is in. Oregon, Texas Tech. You got to understand, Oregon, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Georgia, perhaps, they don't have to play in a championship game, which is interesting, right? This is what I'm saying. Do you punish the people who have to play that extra game, and put in people who don't, like a Miami, or like a Utah, or like a Vanderbilt, who sits there at 9-2 with a big game against Tennessee this weekend, who is sitting at 19. And of course, your highest ranked 3-loss team is Texas, who is sitting there at 16. Could also make it interesting in beating an A&M team.
Yeah, but you can't punish A&M for losing to Texas. You can't punish what would be an Ole Miss team if they lose.
But if you're looking at big wins,
yeah,
I mean, you got to look. Ole Miss won, Oregon won, but somehow Ole Miss gets jumped by Oregon. Same thing happens with Miami. Miami and Utah both won.
Yeah, but Utah won 51-47, and Miami.
But they won. They won. You can't play the eye test week to week. I hate that. You need to look at the overall body of work before you start looking at week to week. If you want to, once you start looking at week to week, one team may look very, very good. Matter of fact, you've got a number 8 team who I think we've talked about who has looked horrible. Horrible. It's been awful. For 3 weeks, they've gotten slaughtered on the football field and somehow have beat these 3 teams, really good teams, on the scoreboard. So you can't go by the eye test because some wins look ugly, some teams look really good and still lose. I don't like looking week to week at the eye test. Yes, Notre Dame absolutely slaughtered Syracuse.
Syracuse 70-.
It was 21-0 before Notre Dame's offense touched the field. It was. I mean, they scored, I think, 35 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
It was bad. It was real bad. But is that do you look at that and say Notre Dame's playing their best ball? Or, I mean, you're going to have games like that throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I'm not on the committee. If it was me, I'm going to go ahead and give what I would think would be the top 12.
Mm-hmm.
If it was me. Ohio State, number 1. You haven't blown me away, but you haven't done anything to lose that spot. You've been up there all year long.
Yep.
Congratulations. I'd have Texas A&M at number 2. I'd have Indiana at number 3. Georgia would be number 4. I would put Ole Miss at number 5 because their only loss is to Georgia.
Yeah.
And then I would put Texas Tech, Oregon. If you want to look at that head-to-head, you would put Oklahoma there, but you would have Alabama at number 9 over Notre Dame just because the signature wins. Alabama went through one of the toughest 4 weeks in college football and won every single one of them in dominant fashion, and no one thought they would lose any more this year.
Yeah. So
we have forgotten about that somehow. And somehow Notre Dame just keeps staying right there. I wouldn't even have Notre Dame in the top 10. I would have BYU sitting at number 10.
Because BYU's only loss is to Texas Tech, correct?
Absolutely. And then you would have Notre Dame at number 11. I would have...
I mean, you put Utah in there at number 12. You can't put Vandy in there because, I mean, Vandy's played very good ball this year. Look and see who's Vandy's beaten this year in terms of. Okay, all right. They beat LSU. They beat Missouri. They got beat by Texas. They beat Auburn. They beat Kentucky. They beat, at the time, a number 11 South Carolina. 31-7. So, if you look at the end of the year, they only beat one team in the top 25 by the end of the season. Which you can say that against Alabama too, with Alabama coming in and only beating technically two teams, or three teams that are in the top 25 at the end of the season, being Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Tennessee. So, I mean, it's at the time, yes. And Missouri's been in and out of the top 25 the past 2 weeks anyways. They're not a terrible team. They've had just bad luck.
But I'm looking at Virginia, and the head-to-head has to matter. If you're going to make the argument that the head-to-head has to matter when it comes to Notre Dame and Miami, then it has to matter against Miami and Virginia. And if it doesn't matter, and if you want to look at the eye test, why is Oklahoma above Alabama?
Because the head-to-head.
But eliminate the head-to-head because obviously it doesn't matter to them.
I mean, that's the only reason why Oklahoma's ahead of Alabama right now. It's because
it's the inconsistencies. I can preach this over and over and over again. There should be a criteria. What are we looking at first? Are we looking at overall record?
Yes.
Well, no. You can't, because you've got Alabama, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma all above BYU. So what's the standard?
I mean, like I said, the committee has had rules written down in place for this, that, and the other, and then they go against their own rules that they talk about. The committee's not going to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. Nobody's perfect. There's only been one perfect person in this world, and it's not you, Taylor.
I get it. I get it. But this is what I'm saying.
But
I don't see a standard in these rankings.
No.
I don't see consistency where there should be. I should be able to look at this. Anybody should be able to look at this. Look at the standard that the conference committee sets. And then anybody should be able to look at this and says, well, this person should be here, this person should be here, and be very close to what it's going to be. And that's not what we get week in to week out. It is not the eye test. I think it has more to do with the name on the front of the jersey than the record, than the head-to-head, than the strength of schedule. If that's a bigger problem that I have is they don't even take in consideration strength of schedule.
No.
Because if you want to take in strength of schedule, Indiana wouldn't be in the top 5.
Because they ain't played nobody. I don't know. They have, one signature win?
So,
Ohio State's got Texas.
Yeah, and they both looked awful.
Yeah.
So, flip a coin. Flip a coin at this point. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not happy with the committee and the way it's been this year. And you may sit there and you may comment on this and say, hey, it's going to work itself out. Is it? Miami plays. Guess who Miami plays this weekend? Pitt.
Play Pitt.
They play Pitt. Florida State plays Florida.
Florida State plays Florida.
For the worst teams in Florida, who's going to take the cake on that one? You have Miami who plays Pitt, who played very good against Georgia Tech. If Miami loses that game, does it change the narrative, or does Miami drop 2 places? Like USC dropped 2 places after absolutely getting slaughtered by Oregon.
No.
It's just...
Because
I hate to say that there's favoritism here, and I don't think it's favoritism.
I think it's just because a lot of the preseason, how Miami was ranked, number 4 coming in the season, or number 2 in the season?
Miami was up there, but I mean, shoot, so was Clemson. Where are they at? Gone, goodbye.
Yeah, because they ain't played ball this
year. Anywho, guys, that's about all the time that we have, and I don't want to come on here and complain. Or maybe I do. Maybe I do want to come on here and complain. Everybody else is. I know Crane and Company is not happy with the program. I know Josh Pate in Nashville is not happy with the committee. I don't even know if, I know Reese does the thing. I don't know if Reese or Greg McElroy, all these people who do the show, were even happy necessarily with the committee. But I'm not happy with the committee. I want answers. I want a standard. I want. This is what we're going off of, and they can't give us that. And what they do try to give us, they don't have consistency with it. And it drives me crazy. I'm not OCD, I promise. I may adjust a picture 1,000 times before I say that picture straight, but that don't mean I'm OCD. But I want consistency. I want to know this is how it's going to be. I want a standard of how it's going to be, and then follow it. And that's just not what we're getting in this committee. And I'm ready to pull my hair out. I don't know if you can tell, but I've been pulling it out tonight. My hair's all over the place. But anywho, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Do you agree with the committee? Do you agree with the top 12 that I gave you? Or do you just want to tell me to shut up and move on? Quit being a baby. Because maybe that's what I'm being. I don't think I am, but you may think that, and we want to know about it. So let us know. Leave us a comment. Guys, it is getting very close to Thanksgiving. If you haven't already, go get your turkey. And donate to Helping Hands, people who are in need this holiday season. It's a great way to love on your communities by donating to take care of the people in your community who are less fortunate than you. So do that. I know they would appreciate it. But happy Thanksgiving from us here on Lonas Lane, and I hope you have a great night. Thanks, guys.